Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the shocking story of Alaskan bush. Eastern Washington deputies became irate. Rain Brown's wrists are bound with steel cuffs. In a matter of seconds, the bright rainbow of the bush people of Alaska became the next. A prisoner has been charged with burglary and malicious mischief next to Josiah, her new husband. Lorton's supporters exclaimed, "How could the kind daughter who quotes scripture gets left behind bars what she was pushed from by the concealed storm Forest Haven for luminous cells block? Keep an eye out because the verdict is imminent, and the early indications that the storm is not good on the horizon." Murmurs darted over the fan. It can't be true that Forum's rain arrested. However, the reservation sheet did not blink merrily. Catherine Raindrop Brown for Christmas. Rain Brown, who is more commonly known, was listed confronting a first-degree burglary defendant, malevolent mischief, and a second-party criminal somewhere between her 2025 and April's wedding. Instagram post. 11th document. The youngest child of the grittiest clan on the Discovery Channel crossed the legal threshold that few outsiders were never imagined by viewers. Recognize the distance between North Star Ranch and pavement that is smooth, constructed following a wildfire that burned the Washington was the first homestead. Billy Brown's final dream was to buy property. Prior to his deadly seizure, he had in 7 children's healing enclave raise upcoming grandchildren and maintain the bush in Alaska. In the years since, each Brown has made an effort to follow that instruction. Noah rigged apple saplings that Gabe planted. A solar water system bare cut pathways regarding his kids, but Rain, who once split logs with childish glee, grew suddenly silent off camera. She once burbled thankfulness, posting citing psalms between puppy selfies after Billy died and the Rain's feed was cancelled in 2022. Became ambiguous in a caption from February 2024 read, "You are broken when the sky breaks." First. Although many shrugged, many were concerned. Taking it off as grief, nobody anticipated the break-in. Charges that light on the displays of the courthouse. What transpired within that closed lakeshore cabin near Tanasket survives, buried in an affidavit that was sealed. Investigators claim that forcible entry occurred. Antique glass and valuables were broken. Damage that surpasses $25,000. Backers claim the building was Rain visited the partly deserted area, requesting documentation related to her. One rumor claims the cabin belonged to her former manager, the same figure she'd later alleged to have stolen $43,000. Whatever the facts, her arrest, Billy's Wilderness brand was shaken. Decades of developing executives in Discovery released a brief statement stating that we are tracking advancements and sponsors for pause promotions, repeat deals, and tabloids smashed keyboards declaring it the last decision on the Bush innocence. Josiah and Rain, meanwhile, relaxed, and chiefs of county holdings bowed down, glowing tubes with a bleach odor and regret on the internet that 2 camps appeared overnight. One referenced her pious posts, demanding Rain didn't mean to harm. The other dredged up footage in which she questioned Billy's regulations, claiming that repressed rebellion had at last a third view detonated between them. Bereavement, celebrity, and debt can cloud judgment. The way time is warped by a polar night. The pair went for a walk at sunrise on April 14th. Free for individual recognition, but the Rain's reputation has already been damaged. Persistent, similar to a river ice crack that tearful never entirely fuses over TikTok. Rain's campfire song edits clashed with ironic memes that display a cartoon change. Org Bear behind bars petition requesting that she be given Discovery finance. 10,000 signatures were collected in defense within equal numbers clicked in a 24-hour period, saying that the Browns should unsubscribe had remained too long following the repeat. Many marathons came to an end in late 2022. Disappointed fans would be everything that came after. But serene roots in the wilderness for a long time. Rain, prior to court dockets and handcuffs, tree rings were used to measure Brown's world. With river ice, she came across a Chile in November of 2002, the final spark in the 7 children of Billy and Amy Brown. She heard lullabies instead. Cabin beams being chewed by chainsaws, and rather than living in a suburban cul-de-sac, she climbed across logs covered in moss in the fog in southeast Alaska. The Discovery cameras in fjords discovered the Browns were 11 producers when it rained. Anticipating a survival show, they discovered a convoluted romance between an Alaskan family and the land. In May 2014, Bush People made its debut, and Rain's toothy smile turned into an immediate she clipped shorthand for innocence. Speaking tiltedly, a kindling half her size slipped and used a Shakespearean flourish. Hurried prayers into any quiet when she was embraced by viewers as the series. The siblings' heart-pounding refusal to, despite being frostbitten, cuss she once sewed remnants of old flannel into doll gowns, certain that each the remaining thread was worthy of a second exploration beneath moonlight. But celebrity has a peculiar weight. Training regimens take the place of seasons. Privacy vanished more quickly than creek water is excellent over a campfire when during prom rain, students shared selfies. Uploaded video of elk quarters being hauled. She stated via Sleet that she didn't until 2018, when her Instagram caption muttered, "On certain days, the dirt feels rooted in my spirit." Adolescent, there was tension. Requests for trolls versus store-bought makeup, making false accusations against the family, and whispers that college Billy might be hit by rain. Felt that adversity shaped Amy's character, battled lung cancer, and had confidence overcame despair. Rain attempted to move between those polar stars. Guide her course, she observed Matt and Joshua's battle with addiction, and photographers observed Birdie thinking operation that could make motherhood more expensive, and observed producers attempting to increase the level of drama. The distinction between each season's documentary and performance became hazy until even it felt predetermined to share a sunrise when the show's Billy passed away in February 2021. Ratings for Compass spun out decreased. Following the season, Discovery reduced funds. Rain silently finished the series on 14 in 2022. 19 then had to face the contemporary world without the crew of cameras that had posed as her. She posted farewell to her peers for all time. Below, a picture of the snow that was covered, a mysterious farewell to many at Browntown Cabin, believed to mean city life. But she traveled north with family to Washington's the Okanagan Highlands. Aid in reconstruction. The off-grid paradise of North Star Ranch's expensive insurance that was hardly covered. Rerun royalties for burned lumber slowed contracts that were formerly valued at $500,000 overnight. Bucks per episode disappeared. By Rain began working as a waitress in late 2023. Works in a rural eatery close to Chilean, where she got to know Josiah Lorden, the head chef. Tattoos, wit, and a propensity for blessing each plate prior to its departure from the they became close over hymns and hash browns. Only a matter of months. They were inseparable. First carvings into Ponderosa, barking and making promises to one another that under no circumstances they would ever exchange cynicism for simplicity. Those promises will now be put to the test in public court, distant from the quiet woods where their love blossomed in the shadows. After Rain switched off her aprons for Josiah's hiking boots after her shift, frequently waited outdoors while holding a thermos of. They traveled dusty back roads while drinking berry tea, until the park's cell phone signals disappeared, and trade while perched atop a truck's tail. Legends from his boyhood about Kentucky and coal country. She mentioned sled dogs that screamed for a girl whose Aurora's life had been broadcast on television, and the lack of mice were like pure air. At the age of 23, Oxygen Joseph Lorton was an orphan of the restaurant industry, encouraged young people to chief chef, but has already been exhausted by. He appreciated Rain's 12-hour services. Her admiration for his frontier work ethic, tolerance for nervous tourists, demands elk chili without gluten. By Christmas 2023, they disclosed their relationship to the public. The Instagram caption was filled with monikers. "My home, my healer, my angel, my eternally." While some admirers swooned, Others shuddered in suspicion of a whirlwind romance. But Rain's heart was originally formed only by it was determined that wilderness chores had waited long enough to be gentle. The engagement took place on a pier covered with fog, with a view of Lake Challen. Joshua carved a fallen pine ring box and laid within. He had mined opal during a rainy vacation in Utah. Responded yes before he had finished his question. Didn't record, share, or tell any stories. When the glitter on the ring appeared in it, did fans like the January selfie? That same evening, she typed in response to a troll, "Goodbye forever." Few people knew that she had sold out. It was a cue to shed one identity, for a subsequent vow of marriage followed in a log 3 weeks later. Amy read the chapel next to Wenatchee. Using an acoustic guitar, Corinthians Noah, when a local priest calmly discussed camera crews were not forgiving executives from Discovery or a glossy tabloid exclusives, the ceremony was theirs alone until a bystander blurry images to a gossip blog in a matter of hours. Options for the hashtag Rain Brown wedding trend paid interviews came flooding in, courteously refused to Rain and claimed that love doesn't require a sponsor, but love requires funds, and North Star Ranch continues to lose money. Snowbirds rescue animal veterinarian bills increase the court costs for Matt's rehabilitation, increased land tax rates. Josiah came up with a plan as the rain threatened. Transform an abandoned lakefront cabin into a kitchen at a faith-based retreat where Josiah could instruct in wild food, and Rain could negotiate the sale of handmade soaps for the lease. Dragged documents disappeared discreetly into someone's messy desk. Rain maintained a leather notebook in which she evaluated each choice in light of the demons that haunt her father's philosophy, free or perish, as well as her personal anxiety of allowing fans down. The April journal entry leaked to TMZ on the 10th. It said, if the cabin collapses, we'll plant buckets of veggies that we'll cook over. We'll sing louder, Alderwood. But please maintain thinking. Those phrases are now reverberating court documents like birds in a cage on. They drove to the cabin on April 11th, bringing measuring devices and doing cleaning supplies, and by dusk, they were under arrest. Romanticism coming into direct contact with reality. So what took place that evening? Deputy Carlos on the night of the arrest. The body camera footage of Herrera starts at 1942. Fading in over shattered glass onto the front window of the cabin has a hardwood floor. Had been broken inside, leaving fragments all about. Between a pointed needle and spruce needle heaps, Rain Brown stands close to the rain barrel. The hands lifted in the hearth, their palms shaking. Joshua kneels in front of an old buffet, taking pictures of broken porcelain knobs. A neighbor reported loud noises in a 911 call. Voices arguing over money and banging when Herrera says, "Ma'am, step outside." Rain complies, looking once in the direction of a framed scenery broken up by a sharp outside the twilight hole. A heavy back up the woods are reddened by cruiser lights, and the explanation offered by Blue Rain is that they possess authorization to evaluate the property. That her previous supervisor stopped responding to Herrera recites Miranda's emails. Singh, another deputy, observes that prior marks on the patrol car's doorframe. Scripture is whispered by the rain, and the Lord is my refuge. Joseph's jaw is clenched as he looks ahead. Okanagan County Jail's booking swiftly moves the digital fingerprint cup. The seizure of a multitool and an anointing oil charge sheets in a bottle list of first-degree burglaries. Malevolent harm, and only for Rain there is no need for secondary trespass bail. The magistrate has faith in their local connections. Steel doors that are still closed crash behind for 68 uncomfortable hours. The media got wind prior to dawn. A blogger was texted by a dispatcher's relative by TMZ released the mug pictures at 6 in the morning. In addition to ironic captions, Alaskan Bush, the County Bush League is met. Later released security footage reveals Rain reciting while pacing her cell barefoot. Carrie Jobs' lyrics between quiet detectives captured every tear on camera. broken artifact within the cabin, civil mason jars from the Depression-era made-of-war tin. One of Rainsware's cuckoo clocks was drooping unsteadily long before she entered the damage total. The purported owner and previous manager paid $27,480. According to Ellis McGowan, sentimental losses beyond computation, charging Rain with attempting to destroy the proof of the deal. He sent a sequence of emails mentioning underpaid royalties, and the outcome discussions from insurance agents in 2024 circled like ravens. At 14:03 on the detention date of April 14, Rain's cell was unlocked by officers. Thanked them for collecting her used jeans. Put on a jacket and entered Milky Spring. Reporters covering the sun's rays lined the "Did someone do it?" It rained on the sidewalk. Shouted, halted, looked into the camera, and stated just, "Judge not lest you be judged." After that, she got into Josiah's pickup. With a dull thump, the door closed. That, several listeners said, sounded like the initial observation of a protracted, uncertain trial in holding Rain and a school shared a cell. Due to unpaid parking, a teacher was arrested. Tickets, the woman informed reporters. Rain drew mountains for 2 nights on scrap napkins with the assurance that the sketches that are free to make during the video. Amy watched the arraignment from North Star Ranch with her hand on Billy's picture as the judge spoke. She mouthed, "Stay strong. Decide to hold the next hearing in late June." Caution that any infraction would result in their release. Lies sparked a conflagration that the internet is powered by strife and rain. Arrest doused the fire with gasoline. Already licking the borders of her fandom. The final verdict on the hashtag within a few days. Rain and show snippets trended together. Cut to suggest TikTok foreshadowing. Attorneys examined the Washington break-in laws, asserting that life sentences were sparse. Hysteria was one potential context. Abundant on April 19th. When the Rain started to Instagram and noticed the comment section splitting way ice cracks, some people term, others typed hugs to her modern Jezebel. Shared a white square with a quote from Matthew 7. Judge not to avoid being viewed as inferior to her. Wrote, "I'm heartbroken that my rainbows accept falsehoods from those who took $43,000 away from me. That individual was one time." Ellis McGowan was praised as the marketing strategist who landed brand agreements for the Browns' downpour. McGowan claimed her signature on endorsements was falsified. Stealing profits intended for the ranch. She said she challenged him about repairs. He responded by using defamation, and in the end, McGowan's 911 call attorneys retaliated, portraying Rain as in retaliation for audits. They disclosed, and she threatened in an email, saying, "Return what the mountain will speak, or you stole." While cable hosts laughed, detectives tracked the funds that U.S. Weekly received. Bank records demonstrating from Rain Brown, $42,937 was transferred. LLC account for the consulting firm of McGowan in 2024. Memo line at spend, "Is it worth it?" Happened and is still there. Unconfirmed in the meantime, Rain's brother Bam. Deeper corruption was alluded to by Bam at a stream. Some folks desired the Browns off their property so that developers may purchase. The proliferation of low-cost conspiracy theories was the cabin raid was staged to undermine Rain's reputation. Prior to a property dispute, whilst as rumors spread, Rain withdrew to North Star Ranch. Quickly invokes a media birdie. Motion sensors were fitted by Joshua. Gabe composed a minor while praying on the porch. Key melodies floating over the Ridge family unity like a book. At a distance, yet tension was murmured inside. Some siblings were afraid of additional bad headlines. Might endanger a future documentary. According to reports, Netflix sniffed in search of a comeback. But executives today went. Rain was urged by silent civil attorneys to pay reparations, sign a settlement quietly, and pride pushed non-disclosure. Walk away. She later submitted a counterclaim, claiming emotional distress and defamation, requesting an apology from McGowan. By May, the public negotiations broke down. Rain Brown was named on the docket first against Ellis McGowan fought in a parallel war to supporters of the criminal case stayed they set up prayer circles and sold loud we raised $5,000 by selling Rain Innocent hoodies for legal bills, but each headline repeated the identical phrase, "Not good." With every put pressure on prosecutors by clicking attain a final, resounding decision grew heavier, threatening to shatter anything Rain was able to salvage the item on her. Rough raindrops are whispering in the Hilltop Courthouse. During her initial hearing while donning a borrowed navy blazer from Amy, Joseph stood next to her wearing a suit from a second-hand store. He had a wooden cross behind his lapel. The gallery collaborated with journalists and a few locals looking for a little judge of the town's spectacle, Marisol keying low-slung stoic spectacles known as the Session to Order, accompanied by a crisp rap of D&E Mullins, the gavel prosecutor. Described compelled entry in the state's case employing an intentional cracking of antiquities by Pride Bar's motivation connected to financial records that are missing exacerbated element of incursion at night. He suggested accepting a plea deal. 24 hours in prison for second-degree burglary, month's salary. Liana Ruiz of the Restitution Defense Council retorted, "No burglary, just a contract. Deny any desire to steal, but only to retrieve the money that was due." Ruiz gave the bench a folder with the name McGowan Fraud on it. Proof, such as spreadsheets of unscented contracts and absent royalties. Keating turned the pages over, but advised that the contents of the binder were polite. Matters are still not justifications for trespassing. She consented to schedule hearings for evidence. Where Rain's assertions could lessen her, July marked the opening of the summer trial window. July 21 to